Joining us now to reflect on the life of the late ANC struggle stalwart Dr Essop Pahad is his brother Nassim Pahad, and he joins us via our video link. Nassim, thank you so much for joining us here on the late edition, and condolences to you and your family. I'm sure as you are dealing with the loss of your brother, this has come as it's a major loss for you and your family.
Yes, it is. To lose a stalwart such as my brother is very difficult and very hard to take.
And perhaps
because the loss is not only ours, but it's a loss of the country. Hello?
And Mr. Pahad, when you remember the life and times of your brother, what are your immediate thoughts of him?
Well, you know, there's so much in the life of the Pahad family as a whole, in terms of the struggle, beginning with my parents, that it's difficult to pinpoint individual things. But let us look at the fact that he joined the Congress movement at a very early age. Although he was too young to be a delegate, he attended the Congress of the People in Kliptown in 1955 and had up till today preserved his own copy of the Freedom Charter. I think that would, you know, indicate the life that he had led, which was the struggle first and family second.
What would you say are your most fondest memory of your brother, aside from, you know, what we know him for his role in the struggle and for his role in the country's liberation? When you draw back to your memories when you were growing up, what are your fondest memories? And that has come as a major loss to you as an individual.
Well, as a family, we were a very close-knit family. And of course, what is there to remember is the kindness that he showed to the other brothers in the family, and that he was always there for us in the time of our problems. Although he was also very straightforward and very strict, he was also very soft and very loving toward us. And of course, very protective of us as his younger siblings.
And Mr. Pahad...
So as a family, yes?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You can continue.
No, that's fine. It's just that shows the type of person he actually was, and, you know, the person that he represented to us as a sibling, and the kindness and the teachings that he imparted upon us in terms of the struggle, which was very important.
And it brings me to this question of him playing a very significant role in our country's liberation. What was of most importance to him during that time, and that he gave his life for the people of this country so that, you know, they could ultimately see freedom?
Well, you know, if one looks at his history, which I will just very briefly give you, is that they were banned, he and Aziz were both banned in 1964 and went into exile after having finished and completed their BA degree at Wits University. And of course, the first action that they entered into was to join the movement against the South African government, which at that time was the African National Congress, although they had also worked with the anti-apartheid movement. They were then instructed to continue with their studies, which they did at the university, together with President Thabo Mbeki, with whom they then in later life worked very, very closely. He had joined the SACP before leaving, and after leaving, he was instructed to go on to Prague to represent the SACP, which he did for 10 years. And this is indicative of the kind of life in the struggle that he had lived, but it didn't end there. Because when it was necessary, he had gone to Angola for his training as an MK cadre, where he had got ill and he was sent back to Prague. And of course, he underwent the military training with Umkhonto we Sizwe during this period. And this is again indicative of the choice of his life, which was that the apartheid government has got to be stopped and destroyed, and a new democratic institution be introduced in our country, free of racial prejudice, free of any sexual prejudice against any woman or child. And this has been his life.
And perhaps if you could just take us back, because I know that he spent a number of years in exile. You know, when he ultimately took that decision and left the country to, of course, join MK, you know, to, of course, continue with his journey to bringing South Africa to its freedom. What sort of impact did that have on his family and particularly his parents when he took that decision, you know, to fight for the country's liberation?
Well, you know, our parents went into exile in the 60s as well. My mother actually died in India in exile. So it has been a very traumatic setup and also traumatic life for families who are involved in the struggle. His wife and children had adapted to that and adapted very well. He had met his wife while he was at university, and they married in 1971, and she accepted unconditionally that in the case of Essop, his first and foremost action would be to bring about freedom in South Africa. So his wife accepted that. His children were born in Prague, so they were born into that kind of situation, and they've grown up with that, and they had accepted the hardships that being in exile had brought about for people of this nature and the families surrounding them, because it was difficult. They couldn't hold jobs. They had to accept what the organization, the African National Congress, of whom we were members, could provide without hesitation. And of course, there was never any pay as such to say that, look here, the family could have a normal life. But they adjusted, and they adjusted very well. And for that, we are very happy and very proud of his wife and children for having done that.